You grew up off-grid. What does off-grid mean?
Uh, I was thinking that it was more just not a part of mainstream media of typical, rat race culture here in the U.S. I was actually raised a lot of my life in Mexico, in northern Mexico, about 3 hours south of the border. But you go there, even today, it's kind of like going back in time, at least a couple decades, and some of those places, even a century, just because it's so remote, off-grid. We didn't have TV growing up, didn't have a cell phone until I was in college, so pretty atypical, I guess, in that regard, as you said.
Definitely. And you said you milked cows by hand.
That's right, we did.
Okay. Did you live on a farm or was it just...
We did. It was kind of a hobby farm. My parents wanted us to learn the value of hard work, and so my dad we had milk cows growing up, had to be milked every morning, every night. And when it was freezing cold or it was your birthday or whatever, you got up and milked cows. We had chickens, a couple pigs. Those were horrendous. They're such a mess. Ducks, geese, lots of cats, barn cats and dogs and things. So yeah, little hobby farm. We probably had just about broke even. We weren't subsistence farmers necessarily, but it was a great way to learn the value of hard work, some of the hard lessons of life and death that you learn on a farm, and kind of gave me a lot of respect and affinity for the greatest generations of Americans that, really had to work, bootstrap, kind of your good old boy hometown America feel in a lot of ways there. So.
Well, I said that we're probably going to go chronological, but I think I just lied.
That's okay.
We'll try to go back to chronological.
Okay.
I think it's interesting that you say that because with all due respect to people living today, myself included, we think we have hard times. And you mentioned just a couple generations ago, they really had hard times. And then you go back to the late 1800s and oh my gosh.
Right.
They had to hunt and kill their own food. They had to build their own homes. They had to deal with the weather and disease that they didn't know how to cure yet.
Right.
I mean, I think we're living in the best time in history.
We are, and it's interesting because there is kind of a resurgence, a return to that. There's people that do the cold plunges and the marathons and there's a whole industry built off people who want to return to a world that challenges our ability to adapt and our desire to have, something physical. I mean, we live at 70 degrees, morning, evening, winter, summer. You walk outside and you're in an air-conditioned car, and so your body really isn't challenged to adapt even to the climate or the circumstance very often.
And I'd like to get to some of those things, hopefully,
Sure.
the cold plunges and getting back to nature and all that, because that's
Yeah.
I'm at a point in my life where I'm pretty interested in stuff like that.
Yeah.
You mentioned no mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean no TV?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't have television. We got it a bit for the Olympics. Didn't have a game system, or Nintendo wasn't a part of our growing up years, and it kind of shows with my hand-eye coordination. I think a lot of my peers developed some pathway that I missed in there. We had encyclopedias. I did have a little computer that had like a early 90s version of encyclopedias of, I can't even remember the brand of encyclopedia, but it led to a lot of time just enjoying books and reading and playing with your siblings, playing outside. It was idyllic in that circumstance.
That's fantastic. How many siblings do you have?
I'm the oldest of 5 kids. So
Did y'all get along growing up?
for the most part,
Yeah.
I mean,
As much as you.
as much as you do.
I had an older brother who tortured me.
Okay.
So
And I'm sure I'd have to admit, being the oldest, there was definitely those times where you got to teach them a lesson.
yeah.
But-
Did you? Right. Because they need to do what you tell them.
exactly.
So you read growing up, you read as a child.
Yeah. My mom teaches literature still to this day, and she's just always been passionate about reading. So that was kind of ingrained in our family culture was, the love of good books, of good literature. We kind of, later in my high school years, we got into some movie watching as a family, but it was very few and far between the types of shows that we would sit down and watch if we, had the VHS version of it.
Now, when did that happen?
Very
Then? When did you get the TV and the VHS?
I mean, we had it growing up, but it wasn't a part of what we did really. So I remember my grandma used to record Mr. Rogers, and she'd send us a tape every once in a while, and we'd watch that until it fell apart and got all scratched up, and then she'd send another one. So
Why is that show not in syndication?
Right?
I'm serious.
I
That is one of the best kids shows ever.
Isn't it though?
It
And
really is.
I mean, it's very much in theme with the perfect society.
I know, I
who
need to bring
wouldn't
it
wanna
back.
live with a little trolley in our hometowns. So
I know. That and the Electric Company.
yeah.
Sesame Street's still on. They're making new episodes of that.
Are
But
they?
Mr. Rogers is, of course, passed,
Yeah.
and Electric Company's done. But those are great shows.
They were amazing.
All right, and you walked to school.
Yeah, well, I lived right across the street from
Okay.
campus, so that was kind of a no-brainer. Didn't have to walk uphill and snow both ways, you know.
Both ways.
But
10
we,
miles.
yeah, crossed the road, hopped the fence. All of my friends lived within walking distance in this little, we call it a colony. It's just a little community down there in Mexico. And so, yeah, in a lot of ways, growing up there was a lot like, I hear my grandparents talking about walking down the block and being at their friend's house and things like that. I don't know how kids these days, I feel like they just kind of, it's all technology fed. We had to make our own fun. So we'd build bonfires. We'd go out in the desert. In high school, we'd just pop open the truck and put on some country music and we'd swing dance out in the parking lot or out in the middle of nowhere.